Finally, as you age, it enables you to look back at your journey and say to yourself, I am after all a good person. See, I've done good things with my life. Non-Aboriginals are major partners in their journey, and we must strive to show the understanding and commitment so we can all succeed together in this journey. So it means more than just having a job. It means, to me, emptying the prisons and filling up the schools. There's the arguments. And everywhere we went, every meetings that we've had over the years, we've had arguments with employers, with different governments, with educational, and even our own community, which some of them maybe are happy with the status quo. Employers often tell us that their only responsibility is to make profit. So I wrote this for today's presentation. Employers have a duty and responsibility to participate in the affairs of communities, provinces, in which they have operations. Some corporations are fond of repeating the old phrase that their only responsibility is to make profit for their shareholders. This, of course, is not true. Corporations could not operate or make profit for their shareholders unless they have access to a great many public-provided and publicly financed services. For example, corporations reap major benefits from the public education system, from the public transportation system, from public communication systems, and from the peace and good order, to name a few of the services that are provided to them. We said that the employer has a responsibility to prepare its workplace and inform, in particular, the Aboriginal community about the opportunities, not selectively, but generically. So I wrote out a charter that when we go to these employers, we not only we have been just asking them, get ready your workplace, make it an accessible, friendly environment, which Aboriginal people are prepared to spend their training funds, but make sure that when they get there, there's proper retention and career pathing strategies so they're not glass ceiling and just take the entry-level jobs and don't get the other opportunities provided. So the corporate charter, if I could read, it's an A to D, but I think it fits what we need to be doing in the future, because we were looking at, if initiatives got cut off, there's other things that we could do. The corporate charter, these are corporations, trade and economic associations representing various commercial sectors, adopt a charter of corporate duties and responsibilities which encompass the following: support for a high quality of public schooling by challenging governments and school authorities to set target results in knowledge skill development they should be attaining. Insist that the achievement of these targets be demonstrated by results measured by credible and reliable measuring instruments. Lobby government and school authorities to assist that adequately trained and skilled teaching staff are provided, and in particular teachers with special training are put into classroom to work with students with learning disabilities, example FASD, autism, attention deficit order, etc. Adopt corporate personnel policies that are Aboriginal friendly and that they assist in integrating Aboriginal workers into their labor force. This is the unions also, by the way, that we could be doing this. Ensure that these policies require existing staff to accept and work with Aboriginal workers without prejudice or stereotype. Insist that public authorities provide Aboriginal adults with the knowledge and skills they need to be work-ready when they apply for employment. Lobby governments to divert resources from the criminal justice system by putting more teachers into classrooms and by ensuring that these teachers have the skills they need to teach Aboriginal students. Set aside funds for scholarships for high-achieving Aboriginal students entering into post-secondary education streams. Provide funds which Aboriginal communities can use to recognize the achievements of these students in high school programs. Give public recognition to the fact that many Aboriginal students, workers in their communities, require special services to support their efforts to bring their social and economic knowledge and skills to a level where they can compete on an equitable basis with the mainstream population. Why I say that is in the early 80s, I was the vice president of the Association of Métis and Non-Status Indians. We went forward to the Canadian government. Grant Devine was then Ellen Blakeney first and Grant Devine at the constitutional talks, where in this province, and in particular the Métis provinces of Western Canada, we had asked the governments to support us with what we called self-government in principle. What it meant was that we be allowed to develop our own programs where we found that there was disparity in society. In other words, to be blunt, we wouldn't use affirmative action, we'd use representative workforce because of the numbers that we've laid out. We said that there'd be areas like employment, economic, there'd be culture development, and there would be training. Education would be the main 5 areas that we wanted to tackle. Why I'm bringing this point out, the governments of Canada said no to Aboriginal people. They said that the status quo would prevail and that they would represent the Aboriginal people and they would make sure that the disparity didn't widen. Okay, when I was doing the research for the demographics, Stats Canada showed me that since special statistics have been gathered for Aboriginal people since 1986, Aboriginal people are more in trouble than they were in '86. How do we make sure education's important again? Okay, what do we need to do? Because we have to have a game plan. We put it down this way, supply and demand. Okay, the demand side, like I said, they get ready their workplaces. They inform us of the opportunity. They try to identify, remove barriers. They try to encourage us to invest our training funds in classifications they have in that workplace. But our job is how do we get ready our communities so that we're work ready to perform the tasks that we need to perform when the time comes these vacancies become. So that we can start to deal with this disparity that should be going this way, and instead it's getting wider. Those 52,000 people, where are they to go? Let's go to any of the Northern Reserves, and we just did a tour for First Nations University where I attended, I believe it was six bands and their schools. Now, a lot of the things that are going on in the education system is some of the stuff we got to tackle. I'll give you an example. There was a lot of youth that came to us and they had grade 10, grade 12 certificates, but they only had grade 6 reading levels. And the issue that we're not tackling, which parents are supporting, is social passing. Social passing so that you don't leave your children behind. So my argument when I was on Carry the Kettle and Colossus and Big River and all these other First Nation communities was, so tell me how a fake certificate helps you keep up. Because that's why we got so much ABE. And ABE, adult basic education, is not a substitute or replacement for a proper grade 12. So I, Doreen, Victoria, others have been going to these communities and saying, look, here's what we found out for those 100 employers. I don't care if they're not doing anything. Here's what we found out. Here's the opportunities we have in these workplaces. Here's how much you'll be paid. Here's the duties you'll have to perform. Here's the skills that you'll need to require. You'll need to be work ready when you get there. This is what we've been able to do. Try to get ready to these workplaces. Aboriginal people, how we need to tackle the educational issues we have in our communities to make sure that we get a proper education that makes us competitive. Grade 12 should mean grade 12. In the report that we did for those bands, we said this, that there should be standards. There should be standardized tests written like we used to have to do years ago. Everybody had to write their grade 12 departmentals or they didn't get their certificate. Okay? Now, we do tests. But I found out by interviewing the school teachers that every one of them can say, well, I'm individually going to mark you, and I don't mind her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a passing grade. There should be standards with standardized testing. Here's how you have to do the tests. So there was a group of teachers that all sat in Regina. You sent in your marks. They didn't know your name. And if you passed, you got your certificate. If you didn't pass, you didn't get your certificate. That's the way it should be, because when we met the northern employers, they said, we already know that in the north, a grade 12 means grade 7 in the south. What is that? You know, what is it that, now don't forget Aboriginal people, we could laugh about this, but look at, we go K to 12, we send our kids to school. We think we're getting an education, they get a certificate. Then when they go to get a trade or something else, they get in there